Greetings and salutations, YouTube. In today's video, I want to talk about bullying. And the reason I want to talk about bullying is I recently rewatched the movie Bully, the documentary with the children it follows into schools and stuff. And when watching it this time around, I actually had like a different perspective on things. Like I was thinking a lot about the psychology of bullying and how it affects the kids, but more importantly, I was actually thinking about the psychology of the bully, or like their point of view of things, or how they perceive things to be, because that's a fairly important part of the whole situation. Does the child even know what they're doing is wrong? And I feel like you could easily argue that a lot of them are unaware, or unaware especially of this mentality that they have. So I'm just going to talk about my personal experiences with bullying and what I went through, and just kind of how I think things might be for the bullies, but I'm speaking as a person who was bullied. And this isn't something I talk about a lot, so I'm sorry if I get a little emotional at points. I'm not particularly proud of this part of my past. I don't know. I mean, it can be embarrassing. And again, I have a list here because I'm scatterbrained. I guess it starts, I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to freshman year of high school. And those schools tend to be, now this isn't absolutely 100% unequivocally true, but they tend to be a little more cliquey, a little more in-group, out-group going on. Kids notice differences. I mean, everyone notices differences, but kids notice differences. And they also notice differences that they've been told are bad or wrong. And being a Catholic school, divorce was frowned upon. My parents had been divorced since I was 3, so that was something, that eventually got brought up in kindergarten. Ask people about their home life, and like, oh, well, like, what do your mom and your dad and you do home? Well, sometimes I go to my mom, sometimes I go to my dad's because they're divorced. Right there is a notice of difference. And I feel like, I have no way of knowing whether this is legitimate, but I feel like that literally is me having divorced parents. And I wasn't the only one, but there was a way they talked to you when they were talking about family if you had divorced parents. Like, oh, well, you can kind of play. Like, even the staff. It's just because it's what they believe. But, I mean, like, there was something there. There was a difference, and I feel like people noticed it and thought about it a lot. Too much, even. Not just with me. I'm talking about any kid with divorced parents here. So having divorced parents in Catholic school was a little rough, but also my arms are double jointed, so like, yeah, you see how they go up and then out? I guess I can probably, yeah, there you go, and I can like twist them. So that's what people call double jointed, and I can't help it. Like when I would raise my hand in class, it just automatically does that. That's what's comfortable with me. Or like when I stretch, I very much use that to stretch, because that's how I have to like stretch all the way out. That's how you stretch. That's how I stretch. And people would notice it, and sometimes they would think it's cool, but as we got a little older, I would just catch things like freak, or like freak of nature, or, weirdo, gross. Gross was, yeah. I'd raise my hands and stuff, and, just for something as little as raising my hand, I received names, and I mean, I was smart and I liked to participate in class, but there were some years where I just stopped raising my hand because I mean, every time I would, someone would say something, and it just got to the point where I couldn't. This does not feel comfortable to me. This requires more effort. My hand falls asleep quicker. This is easier for me. Like, this is what I do. And it just bothered me that I couldn't do that. But then we get to middle school, which, middle school is a hard time for a lot of people. And a lot of stuff going on for everyone. And something else that happened in middle school is we got lockers. Lockers in the hallways, and also lockers in gym whenever we went to gym. I don't know if you can tell from the videos, but I'm really little. I'm like 5'5" maybe on a good day. People started, you know, shove me into lockers because I could fit. Is the only reason, really. So I would get shoved in the lockers a lot. I don't think I was ever locked in a locker. Maybe one time in gym class, but I think for the most part, I was only ever just pushed into my locker, like as they were walking by. Like it was just this funny little gag, like ha, and you know, I'd drop all my stuff or get bruised up a little, getting pushed in the locker. But I don't know. I kind of did to all small people, so I tried not to take it too personally. I feel like people who aren't short just sometimes they see a little person and they, in the most primal way, think like, oh, I can conquer this human being. I can make them do things. Like, I can manipulate this person because I'm bigger. And they do it just because they can. And like any good, reasonable person will tell you just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, and that applies in so many different ways, it's ridiculous. This being one of them. Just because you can overpower a human being doesn't mean you should, because overpowering someone in any facet, for any reason, is pretty malicious, like right there alone. Just not taking their will out of their, like their own free will away from them, and trying to force them into something, or guide them or influence them into doing something for you or doing something in general, that's wrong. So I get shoved in lockers, books would get slammed out of my hands or just like pushed down, and I'd drop them and I have to pick them back up because that's funny. A real popular one for being short too is they would take my things, but they would just hold it up because I couldn't get it. And that actually was a problem for me all the way through school. But I'll talk about more about that later, the particular incident that's sticking out in my mind. Because I was smart also, yeah, I was forced a lot of times to do people's homework in class real quick, or let them copy. Well, I don't know if force the right word. It was implied that it would be in my best interest to do such things. So I never really liked that, and I got better at handling those sort of situations when I got older, but when I was younger, I did it. I mean, I didn't really, I don't know. I'm not a fighter. I don't want to mess with any of that stuff. I never want to. I've always keep my head down, and I just don't want to fight. I don't believe in fighting. I think it's dumb, and I don't even try and risk getting put into situations where physical altercations may happen. Like, I just don't see the point. I'd rather talk things out or just do it. That's just easier for me. Then we had high school. High school was particularly frustrating for me. I'm talking freshman year here, so Stone Catholic School, but I see this friend from my childhood. His mom used to babysit us for my dad. And we got to know him pretty good in the like year and a half or so that his mom was babysitting us. And we'd hang out all the time. I mean, we'd go sledding. We'd do all this cool stuff together and play video games, and it was a great time for all of us. And then I see him in high school because he's a couple years older than me. He's in my brother's grade. And I see him and I go, "Oh, hey, man, what's going on?" And he choked me. Like, he put me in a headlock, which is, if you're little, that's also really common. Just another thing. I can't tell you how many times someone has seen me and then immediately upon meeting me, friend or not, just works me into a headlock just because that's what you do to little people, because that's funny, because that's cool. And he squeezed and I was choking, and he said talk, because he wanted to hear me like try and struggle to talk, because to him this was specifically funny. Hearing someone struggle for breath or struggle to speak because they're being strangled, that's funny. So he's choking me and he tells me to talk, and I'm 14 and pretty angsty, and, you know, pretty bitter, because still hasn't been that long since my dad died. I'm still a really angry kid about it, so I just shook my head no, and he, you know, squeezed a little harder. Speak! Because at this point, I was done playing these stupid fucking games, so he just keeps choking, and eventually he just lets go and fine, whatever, and keeps walking, and he'd still try it every now and then, and I mean, I just... I think what bothered me is, like, we used to be friends, and, like, immediately upon greeting me, he just put me in a chokehold. And I get so tired of that. I get so tired of people doing that to me. I get it. It's just little people. I don't know why people do that, but they do. But I speak from experience. It's hardly a personal thing, except for the times when it obviously is. It's hardly personal, they just do it. It's still not okay, but they just do it. Just 'cause. They have this need to feel alpha, or this need to feel in charge physically, or to demonstrate, at least, that they are, as if I'm unaware, and they, upon greeting or upon interacting, just demonstrate, you know, I have the power here. That's fine. I don't give a shit. I'm just talking to you. But whatever. Well, I also got shoved in the lockers a little more. I mean, not as much, though, because freshman hall had baby lockers. So if that happened, I was at someone else's locker or in gym. But it happened less. So that was good. Book slamming still happened quite a bit. That was a thing. Also, I sat by myself at lunch a lot. Because my best friend, he relocated, and my other friends were all a couple years above me, and we didn't always have the same lunch. There was 3 lunches, so it was kind of hard to have the same lunch as everyone. But I sit by myself, where I'd find a table to sit at with some people, but I wouldn't really talk to people. And, you know, no one really talked to me. And I kind of noticed that when I spoke to people, they almost, like, I could see their burden. Like, I could see the moment of, like, oh God, why are you putting this on me? Like, why are you talking to me? As if I was doing them some injustice. And that would always make me pull away and just, never mind, I'm sorry. And then I'm apologizing for just reaching out socially. And it's not okay. I can remember one occasion where I had this friend, and I usually sat with these friends, but I wanted to sit with him because we were really good friends, hung out outside of school all the time. And like I said, they can be cliquey, and this is high school, so it's even worse now. It's even more developed. And so I just go to sit next to him. Hey man, how's it going? And I go to get my food after setting my stuff down. I come back, and my stuff is moved to the next table over. So I try and just shake it off, and I just sit down next to him, and I keep talking to him. It's really quiet at the table now. And I was talking to him, and in the middle of saying, like, so how's it going, man? He just, I think you should go, without looking me in the eye. So then I picked up my stuff and went back to my table. But it was humiliating, and I was mad at him for quite a while for that whole event. I wanted nothing to do with him for quite a while. I didn't understand. We hung out all the time, and just the next couple times he wanted to hang out, I was just, I mean, I don't need to go see him. Stay at my house today, because that's fucking bullshit. There was a couple kids who threw this at me, but one kid who threw it at me all the time. And he was just kind of in my friend circle. Kind of an angry kid, but he was there, and, you know, he just sat with us all the time, or played Xbox with us. But I really only had, like, a couple of friends, like, real friends at that school, one of them being Marco. And Marco, if you're watching this, thank you for being not only one of my few real friends there, but probably, not even probably, what am I talking about? You were a better friend to me, easily, than I ever was to you, because I was so self-involved. And I just want to thank you, if you're watching, because I know you watch these sometimes, for all that. Sincerely. But there was this friend in our group who was pretty angry, and to get at me, kids would say really hurtful things in that school system, I noticed. Very hurtful things. And this was directed to me a lot, and I was told on quite a few occasions that it would be best for me or my family or the world if I threw myself down the stairs like my dad so I could die. Because my dad died by falling down the stairs. And I can handle hearing that now. Nowadays, it hurts, and I'm very angry with the person, but it doesn't. Every time I heard that when I was younger, it used to do a lot of damage. It would just send me into a mental loop of just, I probably should, but like, did he? And then like the anxiety comes, and I'm just having full-on panic attacks now, and I'm just completely derailed off of this one sentence. And that was utterly what it was supposed to do, just derail me. Just, that's it. Like, just, I'm trying to hurt you, I'm going to hurt you with my words. This is what I say because it is the lowest blow I can come up with. And nowadays it doesn't derail me anymore. Nowadays, if anything, I just get mad and throw it right back. And then just say, wow, you're really going there? Like you're going to attack my character as opposed to continue with the argument, the discussion that we're having? Well, clearly you're losing. But back then, it would just derail me. Every time. Then, when I switched to Heights, the high school I went to, it was still a problem. Not as much so, because I had become a lot more sure of myself, but and a little more confident. But being an upperclassman kind of helps. But I mean, I was bullied bullied as an upperclassman by lowerclassmen, which to a lot of people would be humiliating. To me, that's most of my life, because I'm small, and you know, I was literally bullied up until graduation. But the closer and closer I got, the more and more it just became, I mean, I only have a little bit left. I just got to get through a little more. And, like, people would take my stuff, like the particular incident I was thinking of, like, take my hat and hold it up, and I'm trying to get my hat, not even trying to be a dick about it or, like, antsy or whatever, like, hyper about it like they want. I mean, I was just like, dude, just, come on, give me my hat back. Come on, give me my hat back. And, you know, I just got straight hit right in the, you know, area. Just really hard. While I was reaching for it, because he just had his hand down, he just bought. And, you know, that's funny. So, yeah. Another time I had these $150 headphones I bought. Really nice ones. Same class, same dude and his friend. They were fucking with me. And they were just, like, all up on me, and I had my headphones around my neck, and I was like, get off me. Get off of me. And, when they pull away rough and, like, rip over my head. Throw the headphones off, fall, break, snap. That's it. $150 just broken on the floor. So, that's great. Another time, same, kids. I just walked to the back room to get some supplies for my project, and, put into a chokehold from behind, and then the other one just started punching me in the stomach, because that's fun. We're all friends. I'm just making this video because, like, that was 13 years straight of my life. 13 years of 8 hours in a day in a building with kids. Some of them who religiously tormented me. I'm one individual, and you can pay attention to several at one time. So, like, what I'm saying is there are many people who have a similar story, who have 13 years of just being fucked with, or just constantly feeling unwelcomed amongst their peers, socially, physically, regardless of how it's demonstrated. Like, they feel genuinely unwelcomed amongst others in general. Like, I should stay home, I shouldn't go because people will be upset that I'm there. That's what I would think. Not people will upset me or people will mess with me. I will upset people by going. And so I shouldn't go. That's a terrible feeling for a child. And I'm not talking about me here. I'm talking about kids who are now still having this feeling. It is utterly terrible. No child should ever feel that their presence is going to burden the rest. That is so damaging to the psyche or self-esteem. Like, that is ridiculous to me that this is kind of taken care of. No one really is doing much, because, and this is why I really wanted to make this video, to talk about the bully side of things, because people often say it's kids just being kids, or like, you know, you can't fix the kid if he goes home and the parents reinforce it. And you're right. You're 100% right. It needs to be parents and school. I completely 100% agree. But there's a mentality you can spot in a child, just like any other child. I mean, children can be sociopaths. Children can be psychopaths. You can spot these signs and diagnose and try and get it under control. You can spot whether a child's ADHD or autistic or depressed or, like, I mean, like, literally anything. There are warning signs, and this is just one type of line that they ignore. I mean, they watch out for depressed, ADD, of course, ADD. Oh my God, that's so diagnosed nowadays. Everyone has it. 30 years ago, no one had it. Nowadays, everyone has it. I feel like to some extent children just have trouble focusing because they have trouble focusing because they're children. Like, I wasn't always the greatest like, I'm going to sit down and do this, but like, as you get older, you get more capable. I don't know. I'm not even going to touch base with that, but regardless, people say it's just that kids just being kids, but you can spot that behavior. It's arrogance, it's pride, but more importantly, it's that disgust for difference. I mean, you can see that mentality in a kid. And I know if I ever do have kids and my children ever display any mentality of any kind that they are better than someone, or even worse, willing to torment someone because of their difference or not being as good, such an ass chewing, just ridiculous. My children will understand that they are no better than anyone. They will absolutely know that. In a lot of ways, it's not 100% the bully's fault. And I know people, like, you can hold a lot of hate in your head for that person or those people. I know. You can hold on to those names forever, and you can cringe at the name of them every time. But they were children too, at the end of the day. They were just as clueless and just as insecure. Well, maybe not as insecure, but I mean, they were just as clueless as you. Like, they were children. So the real issue is the adults around that situation, or these situations, or those situations. They're not doing what they should be doing. They're not correcting behavior. They're not pointing it out. When a kid hears kids just being kids as the reasoning behind adult A to adult B on explanation of situation, that tells them this is normal. It is normal for me to torment others. It is normal for others to get tormented. It's not, it doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't. I knew plenty of kids who didn't get picked on. I was friends with plenty of kids who didn't get picked on. I was friends with kids that picked on kids, and I was picked on. And I probably did a little picking on too. I feel like every kid does at some point. And, you know, I'm not proud of any of the picking on I've done now. And there are so many situations in my mind where I wish I could go back and change the way I acted. But I accept that I was a child. And I accept that I make mistakes. And I accept that I learned from them. And I would argue that the important thing is not what mistake you didn't make or what mistake you changed or whatever. It's, did you make the same mistake again? Like, yes, I've made the mistake of terrorizing people before. Not nearly to the extent that I received it. I mean, being small, you're only capable of so much. But, yeah, every now and then, in groupthink, you kind of get lost in the moment. But on new occasions that rise up, I'm the one who pulls back. Like, I'm the one that's like, whoa, 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 and I try and redirect and even the field. Because I'm sensitive to those things. I notice when someone might be or is feeling attacked or singled out, and that's just because I've been singled out a lot, so I know those words. I hear those key phrases, and I get defensive for people. I'm really sorry this video is long. It's kind of, I mean, there's so much I could talk about, but I guess the main thing I want to leave you with is stand up for people. Because for a long time I couldn't stand up for myself. A long time. And I know there's people out there who still can't. So, if you see a situation, intervene or say something. Call out whoever's being douche. Like, just straight up. You know, it's kind of as simple as that, really. And I can do that now for myself and for other people, but I couldn't for a long time. So I know there's kids watching this, or I know there's people watching this who are still struggling. And sometimes all they need is just to know that someone's on their, someone's on their side. Because they feel like they're in the wrong. I'm in the wrong. I am the wrong. I'm wrong. And that's an overwhelming feeling, and a very, very, very lonely feeling. So, if you take nothing else from this video, just stand up for me. Thanks again for watching, guys. I will see all of your beautiful faces later.